Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, I'm going to be taking a look at Yakuza Like a Dragon for the Xbox Series X and S. I'm basing this off of the Xbox Series S version. Plus, I also want to give my thoughts on basically Resident Evil Infinite Darkness on Netflix. I've seen so far 4 episodes of that, though. In case you're wondering, the Yakuza Like a Dragon is also available on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and PC via Steam. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage, I have a link down in the description down below, or you can click on the card that will appear up on this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And for parents out there, it's worth pointing out that Yakuza Like a Dragon is rated M for mature audiences only, ages 17 and up by the ESRB, while Resident Evil Infinite Darkness is rated TVMA here in the US, though. If the Yakuza series has really started to take off and certainly has found like an audience here in the US, though. What started out as mostly a smaller title during the PS2 era, it certainly has sort of gained an audience. Maybe not on the level, let's say, like Monster Hunters, but still an enjoyable series, nevertheless. And I've played several different entries and all that. And I did find the game fun, especially with its brawler-type gameplay. So when I heard about Yakuza Like a Dragon, I was a little curious about the direction they were going with it. And hearing that it was going in an RPG route was sort of a interesting choice for them to make on that game, though. Now, the game came out during the launch of the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and S. At the time, I didn't get it because I didn't have the money at the moment for it, though. But then I started to hear how the Yakuza series was making its way over onto Xbox Game Pass, and I figured this would be a good opportunity to try out Yakuza Like a Dragon. Well, after trying out for a while, though, I honestly have to say that as weird as the direction they decided to go with this, especially taking the RPG route, it turned out to be an actually much more enjoyable game than I originally anticipated. So why don't we get started with the pros and the cons, and we'll start off first with the pros. And I do want to talk about is the visuals in the game. And I will say, for a game, especially running on the Series S, though, it doesn't look that bad, though. The style is very similar to how the Yakuza series or the Judgment series is. So it's certain, if you've seen those visuals before, you'll see this one right here. It's very similar, to be exact. It's worth pointing out on the Series S, though, you do have graphics options, though. The game runs at 900p at 60 FPS or 60 frames per second, or you can choose to raise the resolution up to 1440p, but the game will run at 30 frames per second. Now, obviously, it's not going to look nearly as good as, say, like what you have on the Xbox Series X or the PS5 or even the PC for that matter, but I will say it's not bad having it run. Doesn't look that bad running at 900p. Plus, I'm getting 60 FPS, and while this isn't a fast-paced game or anything like that compared to like other games out there, I still would prefer to keep it at 60 frames per second. So if I had to choose between a higher resolution or a higher frame rate, I'm going to obviously go with the higher frame rate. This feature is very similar to what we've seen in Koei Tecmo's Neo game, Neo 1 and 2, or Fire Emblem Warriors on the Nintendo Switch. So nice that they have the graphical option, and it doesn't look bad running at 900p at 60 FPS, though. The next thing I do want to talk about is the story, and this is probably one of the high points for the series, though, and that is known for its story, though. Sometimes it can get sometimes the game can get a bit serious, and there are times, excuse me, some of the times the stories do get serious, but there are times where it can be funny and way out there, and Yakuza Like a Dragon continues that with this, though. There are times when there are serious moments in the game, but there are also times when I just laugh at like the absurdity in here. From some of it just comes out as way out there, and there are times when I'm scratching my head, laughing and thinking, part of my life's like, what the hell did I just see, or anything like that. And there will be moments in that game, though. So yes, to me, the story is good. There are moments that are serious, but there are times when it can be funny, and then there are moments when it's like it's way out there. And last but not least, I do want to talk about is the combat. Now, When I heard that they were taking an RPG route for this game, though, I wasn't sure how this was going to work, considering the past Yakuza games were always, like the brawler type of approach. So it certainly was an odd choice to go with the RPG route in the game. That said, it actually works. As crazy as it is, it does work very well. Most of it is very simple, and it follows, and I've heard some comparison between, say, the Mario RPGs, and to some degree there is some truth to that, though. You have your basic attack, and then you of course have, use of items, use of basically your special moves and all, and basically you also, if you time it correctly to block, though, you can reduce the damage to your character and all. So RPG mechanics, in my view, are mostly simple, not complex or anything like that, though. And like I said, I mean, it actually works. It's weird to see it they go this route, but yeah, it does work very well, especially if it somewhat borrows from the Mario RPGs to a certain degree. So combat, though, it's good. Again, odd choice to go with the RPG route, but like I said, it actually does work very well. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2, which is the cons, and then I'm also going to give you my thoughts on the Netflix Resident Evil Infinity Darkness, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my video review of Yakuza Like a Dragon for the Xbox Series X and S. I'm basing this off the Xbox Series S version. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And in all honesty, though, I can only think of really one con I could think of in regards of Yakuza Like a Dragon, and it does evolve around the combat part. Now, I did talk about how I thought the combat was surprisingly or actually good and all, and I still stand behind that. It is enjoyable to a certain degree. It is simple. Like I said, you have your attack, your special moves, collecting basically the attack, special moves, items and all that stuff. But at the same time, there is somewhat of a learning curve to it and somewhat of an issues. Some of it does range from the fact that it follows a similar approach to a Mario RPG, where if you time the defend or the block button at the right moment, you could minimize the damage you take for your character, though. It follows a similar approach to that, though, but there are times when it can be a little tricky to try to pull it off, though. So maybe it could be me and all, but there are some issues with that. Other times is when some of the special moves requires you to hit the Y button and all, and there are times when I'm looking at the on screen to try to hit it, if I'm hitting it right at the right time or not, and sometimes it just doesn't seem like I am, compared to when you have to rapidly hit the X button. You can very well easily see that. Other times, some of it has to do with the fact that your character moves around when you're in the RPG battles, though. While the game does follow a turn-based RPG approach, though, the thing to point out is that your characters are moving around, and that could be sort of a blessing and a curse, though. Sometimes, though, depending on where your characters are positioned, they may be able to attack the enemy, and they may do damage to other enemies. Sometimes that can be good. Sometimes it can also be good when certain special moves require you to surround, that could cover a wide area. You could do multiple damage. Other times you might be able to pick up items that you can use that your character will pick up if they're right near it, and use it against the enemies, though, although enemies can do the same thing, though. So sometimes that works, but there are moments and there are times when I've seen it where basically your character is far away and they have to run up to the character, to the point where sometimes they might get stuck and they won't be able to attack the enemy, therefore you lose a turn right there. So it somewhat has a learning curve, though, and some issues. Sometimes I won't go as far as saying it makes the game frustrated or unplayable, but they are noticeable, at least based on my time with the combat in Yakuza Like a Dragon. Overall, I will say Yakuza Like a Dragon is definitely a fun and a welcome entry into the Yakuza series, though. Certainly does not look bad on the Xbox Series S. Granted, the X, the PS5, and even the PC version probably are going to look better than the Series S, though, but it still looks good on the Series S. Nevertheless, though, the story is still enjoyable, though. There are moments, like I said, when it gets serious, but then there are certainly funny moments, and there are certainly way out there moments where you're going to be thinking, what the hell did I just see, though? And the RPG combat is actually good. It's, like I said, it's an odd choice for them to take this route, but it does actually work, nevertheless. At the same time, though, there are some learning curves to the combat, and like I said, there are some issues, ranging from timing to basically block the enemy's moves, to sometimes because your character is moving around, even though this is a turn-based RPG, that could sometimes work into your favor, where you could do huge amount of damages to the enemy or to the enemy surrounding or in the area, to sometimes that could be a curse, because there are times when your character is far away and they'll have to run up to attack the enemy, to basically sometimes being stuck behind an object, therefore you can lose a turn and all. So there is somewhat of a learning curve and some issues with the combat, though, but none of it reached to the point where I found the game to be unplayable or ruin the fun or anything like that. I think Yakuza Like a Dragon is worth checking out, though, and if you have Game Pass, though, it's worth taking a look at and try it out on Game Pass to see if it's something that clicks with you or not, though. I definitely like the fact that they take it into an RPG route, and would be open to see future entries go down that route. Hell, I would be open to the idea if they decided to take it, let's say, use like combat systems similar to what Xenoblade Chronicles has, or better yet, what if they did a Yakuza series and the combat was similar to what Fire Emblem does. So it certainly is interesting to see if they go down that route or not, though. But in either way, I enjoy Yakuza Like a Dragon, though. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And since it's on Game Pass, though, it's worth maybe trying it out and see if it's something that clicks with you or it doesn't. And here's hoping we see more entries in the series that take a RPG route, though. Okay, before I end this video, I want to give my thoughts on Resident Evil Infinity Darkness, the series that had the new series from Netflix, though. Now, Resident Evil, in terms of outside of the video game realm, had some, let's just say, mixed at best. The live action ones have been sort of, though campy to some degree, doesn't exactly click well with everybody, though. And the last Resident Evil movie sort of didn't exactly isn't a fan favorite, though. The CGI versions have certainly gotten a better response, though, than, say, the live action movies. So taking a chance to watch Infinity Darkness, I would say it's not bad or anything like that, but when compared to the Castlevania series that Netflix did, and that is like extremely excellent and all that stuff, it's nowhere near the level of being that good or anything like that. The story itself takes place between Resident Evil 4 and 5, though, and it basically follows Leon and Claire Redfield basically stopping another bio attack, though, with ranging from zombies and all. And to me, I just feel like watching the series so far, though not bad, I feel like I'm watching Resident Evil Degeneration, though, and I feel like this is basically like that, but now split up into like episodic approaches, though. So, I mean, it's okay, though. I mean, it certainly takes place within the Resident Evil canon universe. That certainly isn't a bad thing, though. And the CGI is not bad or anything like that. But if you're hoping for it to be in the level of like a survival horror like the games are, you're probably not going to find that here, as I've heard some people claim it's more like an espionage type of approach or conspiracy theory type, and I would say that is probably true. Again, it doesn't make it bad or anything like that. It's just, it may not be on the level that some Resident Evil fans were hoping for. So overall, it's not bad, and if you're a fan of like the Resident Evil CGI films like Resident Evil Degeneration though, you'll probably enjoy this though. But when compared to say something like say the Castlevania series that Netflix did though, the 4 seasons though, I would have to say the Castlevania Netflix series blows Resident Evil Infinity Darkness literally out of the water. I'm sorry, but that series just, as far as that series based off a video game is like we're like in a league of its own. So yeah, so my take is this: Resident Evil Infinity Darkness, not bad, but nowhere near the level as what Netflix Castlevania was. Okay, this concludes this video review of Yakuza Like a Dragon, plus my thoughts on Resident Evil Infinity Darkness. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Yakuza Like a Dragon? Did you pick up the game when it launched around the same time the PS5 or Xbox Series S and X launch, or did you wait for it to be available on Game Pass? Do you agree with the decision to take it into an RPG route, or do you think they should have stuck with the brawler route that past Yakuza series has done though? And do you think the RPG mechanics are good? Do you think they're bad? Or do you think somewhere in between though? Do you think the game looks good on the Xbox Series S, or would you rather prefer playing it on the Series X, the PS5, or the PC via Steam? And what are your thoughts about Resident Evil Infinity Darkness though? Do you think this is a good series? Do you think they should do a season 2 in any way though? Do you think, or you're like me that figures, you know what, it's good, but nowhere near the level as Netflix Castlevania series was? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notification of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!